British television host Piers Morgan ripped into Vice President Harris, calling her the most far left senator in modern American history. Morgan, speaking on Fox News Saturday night, dismissed the scores of support Harris has received from Democrats since President Biden announced last Sunday that he would not seek re election. She's getting a fantastically amazing honeymoon. It's going to last about a week here, and then reality will kick in, Morgan said Saturday. And Donald Trump will start going very hard, as he already is, about her record. And her record is she's literally, probably, the most far left senator in modern American history. Republicans and other political commentators have launched a series of attacks on Harris, who quickly consolidated support from her party within a matter of days last week. Republicans are targeting Harris over various policy stances, including immigration, climate change, and a record as a prosecutor. Meanwhile, Harris has used her record as a prosecutor to draw a contrast with Trump and his lengthy list of legal problems. MAGA Inc., a top super PAC supporting Trump, spent millions in a series of ads last week, and its CEO stated they intend to cut the honeymoon short for Harris. Morgan, weighing in on support from Democrats, added, "The analogy I would give you about Democrats supporting Harris is if you were on the Titanic, which the Democrats were with Biden, and he's hitting the iceberg and it's going down, and he's hit the iceberg, and the last lifeboat has just disappeared into the moonlight, you will take any vessel you can see. What chance do you have of actually getting to land? You'll just jump on anything, and that's where we are," Morgan said on Fox News. Fox News radio host Jimmy Fallon, speaking with Morgan, said he was fascinated by what he called a sudden shift in support for Harris. "I am fascinated by the immediate pivot to this Kamala propaganda because if you remember, we're about 3 months removed from them talking about pulling her off the ticket, of course, okay? And now we're being told she's the greatest person in the world, despite the fact she ran for president, and when she dropped out, she was polling behind ISIS." Said. Okay, that was actually kind of funny. Um, Now, to get to the seriousness of Morgan's comments, and Morgan is someone I don't watch regularly, but I have played stuff from him in the past. I know during the Kerry Lake video I did, I used clips of him because I think he is someone who can make a good point about something every now and again. If Trump wants to successfully go after Harris for something and actually be able to make a point about it, it should be her time as Attorney General of California or just as a prosecutor, not her record as senator. The reason a lot of progressives, especially in the online sphere, tend to not believe Harris is the most liberal left wing senator in modern history, that stuff, is that even if you look at her voting record in the Senate, or excuse me, the most far left senator, you still question how much of that does she sincerely believe. You got to remember, Harris was only senator for less than one full term and was touted as a potential 2020 candidate from before she even entered office. So the entire time she was a senator, it was all in an attempt to pivot towards eventually running for president and hoping to do an Obama and serve out less than one full term in the Senate before becoming president. That's what she was trying to do. So her record entirely was calculated on, okay, this looks good for the left leaning people, this looks good for my donors, or this looks good for progressives, and this doesn't look too horrible for other Democratic voters. It's you can't trust it. And I actually said I thought she was a much better left leaning senator than Attorney General of California. But again, you still can't tell which one is actually her. These people do the chameleon thing. But if Trump were smart, he would go after her for her time as Attorney General, because that was when she was involved with using prisoners for cheap labor in California, trying to jail parents for the truancy of their children. These are things that are legitimate ways to criticize her. Without like the whole she was the border person and she didn't solve the issue. It's like, okay, I don't know what the vice president can do to solve immigration, but I digress. It's just not an effective attack if you actually are trying to land something on her. Also, just to mention something else here that I thought was kind of interesting, is that there is a pretty smart play on the Harris campaign where if they want to play up her record as Attorney General, it's not the worst thing to contrast with Trump having the 91 criminal charges and now the multiple convictions as well. And in Trump's case, he really has to lean into that record as her record of being attorney general, hope that people don't think too critically about her as VP, because really her time as VP, it's not it's nothing special, but it's nothing horrible either. I mean, again, a vice president is like notoriously a job where all you do is just sit there and wait for the president to, either have something happen to them or resign. Just, it's not a job where you're really given that many powers. And a lot of voters are aware of that, even if they don't know the biggest amounts about the government. They do know the vice president doesn't have anywhere near the power of the president. So he's going to hit a brick wall if he makes that his main sticking point to go after her for. And even with the Senate record, it's like, okay, you're calling her the most far left senator, liberal. What votes does she have as senator that are like damning? Like I remember when Sanders ran against Hillary back in 2016, he talked about how I didn't vote for the Iraq War. She did. And of course, this was something that stuck for a lot of people because the Iraq War is considered one of the biggest foreign policy blunders, I'd say, of the last 20, 30, 40 years. It's just something that's really a blemish on the record of Bush and just the lies that were told to get us into that conflict. So you really have to look for specific votes of hers as a senator that actually would be embarrassing. You can't just say this person is the most conservative senator in modern history. It's like, okay, but what does that mean? What did they vote for in that position that should make us, not want them to be president or whatever? They just can't name anything. And that's why I said if I were the Trump campaign, I would make sure I can get some specifics, because if the best these people can do is talk about how she got less votes than whoever the hell back in 2020 and make fun of her laugh, or the Democratic primary not selecting her with her being picked after Biden dropped out, you really don't have much here. Like, I don't even consider her the strongest candidate the Democrats could have run. I think she was the one that made the most sense in being the VP, and I do believe that it will be to their benefit to have her at the top of the ticket instead of Biden after that horrible debate last month. But the Republicans are really trying to hand this election to her. If they don't get some stronger attacks, she will win. And I don't say that even in being funny, or I believe that she will win. It's if the Republicans cannot pick a consistent policy-based series of criticisms against her, their chances of winning this election are minimal, to say the least.